Today we are going to talk about the process of protein synthesis, which is just making proteins. And to do this, we start off with DNA and we rewrite that into mRNA, and then we can translate that into our final product, which is a protein. And this whole process occurs in just 2 steps, and that's what we're going to go over right now. So step number 1 of protein synthesis, what is happening here? Well, we're taking that DNA and we're rewriting that or transcribing it into mRNA. Where is it happening? It's happening where the DNA is stored in eukaryotic cells, which is in the nucleus. And why is this happening? Well, DNA, remember, carries the directions to build a protein. But since the DNA is kept safe in the nucleus, we have to have a middleman to carry those directions out to the ribosome where they can be used to actually build that protein. And so for this first step of protein synthesis, we are taking our DNA, we're opening it up, and then we're rewriting it into mRNA. And you should notice and remember that mRNA, which is pictured up here in that pink color, that there is not thymine in mRNA. It does, however, have those U's, which is uracil. So you do need to remember that key difference. mRNA is also single-stranded, unlike DNA, which is double-stranded. And now that we have our mRNA, can leave the nucleus, and it's going to go out into the cytoplasm and find a ribosome, which is where the next step of protein synthesis will occur. So step number 1 of protein synthesis, that's called transcription, and that's happening in the nucleus. And after that happens, we can move on to step number 2. What's happening in step number 2 of protein synthesis? The mRNA is getting read in chunks of 3 nucleotides, and these are called codons. This is happening at a ribosome. And why is this happening? Well, because we are trying to build a protein here. That's our whole goal, to make all these proteins that our body uses to build cell structures and to regulate different things in our body and to do cell communication. Proteins do so much for us. And when we are looking at the mRNA that we are using, you can actually look up the codons in this mRNA codon chart to determine the amino acids that are actually getting put together in this protein. So if we look at our mRNA that is up here in the left corner here, we see that the first codon is AUG. And so we can use this codon chart to determine the amino acid. So the first letter is an A, so it's going to be in this row here, our final answer. The U is the second letter, so we're going to be in this column, which means we're now in this box here. And then that last letter is a G, which is that last row in this box. So the first amino acid is MET, MET. The next codon is AUC. So we have A and U again, so we're back in the same box, but the third nucleotide here is a C, so that amino acid is ILE. The third one is UCG, so we have U as the first nucleotide, C is the second one, and then G, so here's UCG right here, and so that gives us SER, SER. And now we have UAA, U, and we have A in this for the second letter, and then A. Here's UAA right here, and it looks like that one is actually not an amino acid at all. That is a stop codon. And so what are those 3 things that we just looked up in this table? They're the monomers of a protein, and those are amino acids. And what brought those in? That is a special type of RNA called transfer RNA or tRNA. So these 5 statements that are written up here right now, these are the things that you need to know and understand very well in order to do well on this protein synthesis topic on your EOC test in April. So genes are segments of DNA that code for a protein. Therefore, the nucleotides in DNA determine the order of amino acids in proteins. The synthesis of a protein is called protein synthesis. Pretty straightforward. Protein synthesis is made up of two steps. So we have transcription and translation. And a good way to remember this is noticing that they both have the prefix trans at the beginning. Transcription, that next letter is a C. And then if we look at translation, that next letter is an L. And C comes before L. And so that's a good way to remember that transcription is actually coming before translation. Okay, transcription occurs in the nucleus where DNA is rewritten into mRNA. And then translation occurs at a ribosome where mRNA is read to make a protein. And that is everything you need to know about protein synthesis.